This is Why Am I a Mets Fan? A podcast hosted by Samantha Croston and Ashley Wenskoski.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. That's Ashley Wenskoski. I'm Samantha Croston, and we are back after the Dodgers just celebrated in a big-time parade their World Series championship. Hi, Ashley. How are you? We didn't get to hear how you felt about it last time.
Hello. Yes, everyone, please rest assured. I was watching Game 7 of the World Series. You really can't get any better than that in sports in general. And what a Game 7 that was. I mean, I said this series deserved to go to Game 7. The fact that Game 7 went to extra innings and then ended in the way that it did was just cinematic. I think no matter if you're a Blue Jays fan, if you're a Dodgers fan, if you're a baseball fan, really just one of the best World Series that we've seen in a long, long time. Obviously, Blue Jays fans in Toronto, I'm sure they are heartbroken and ended that in the way that it did. I said it going into the series. By the way, everyone, I am very happy that I don't have to make my Blue Jays video about how many times I was wrong about the Blue Jays.
People were happy to hear that.
Let's just put that out there. Very happy I don't have to put that together. Secondarily, I stick by what I said before. It was the Blue Jays World Series to win, and they lost it. They literally had to go back to Toronto and win one game, and they couldn't. And I'm not saying they put up a great fight in that Game 7. They did. But I think it also makes it all the more impressive what the Dodgers were able to do. I'm not sure you ever felt like the Dodgers were dead because they're the Dodgers, but going on the road, having to win both Game 6 and Game 7, not in your stadium, is such a feat. I know teams have done it. I know it's like not the first time it's ever happened, but it's such a feat, especially considering the momentum Toronto had, the hunger that they had. It's so impressive that the Dodgers walked out of Toronto with another championship.
Do you know what my dad said that I should have done if the Blue Jays won the World Series?
What?
He said I should have bought you a Blue Jays jersey and brought it on the podcast for you as a present and made you wear it.
I would have worn it.
I know.
Humiliation ritual.
Yeah, listen, I mean, this was awesome. Obviously, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, we're going to talk about him, but he won the MVP.
Oh my
He had
God.
this really sweet speech at the parade. I think we maybe should just take a beat on him first, because I have to say, this guy, just a massive part of the reason that the Dodgers were able to pull off not the impossible, but definitely the unlikely.
I mean, you take a look at it. I know the Dodgers won the World Series last year, and I know a lot was different about this 2025 team. They did not have Yamamoto in 2024. They gave him the highest contract for a pitcher in baseball ever this offseason, and he went in there and he won Game 2, 6, and 7 of the World Series for them. If you're the Dodgers, do you win the World Series without Yamamoto this year? I think the answer is no, and I think that's why his MVP was so rightfully deserved. I mean, winning 3 games in a World Series, genuinely, has that ever happened before for a single pitcher? I don't know the answer.
The fact that he came in back-to-back games truly just astounds me. When we hear about, managers talk about how important rest is, and we ultimately see that so infrequently throughout the regular series or the playoffs, and then you see him in literally the biggest spot of his entire life come in on back-to-back nights. I believe in Game 6 it was 96 pitches. And then to come back out there in a tight spot, help your team get into extra innings and win the game on a double play. Like, it was really one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Well, that's what I mean. These weren't just like 6 innings, get in there, but get a quality start. Obviously, the complete game in Game 2, 6 innings, 96 pitches in Game 6, and then Game 7, 2 2/3 scoreless, 34 pitches, and obviously was on the mound when it ended, induced that game-winning double play. Very fitting that he was the one to be in Game 7 to win it all. But so impressive when you think about how much rest these pitchers need on a regular basis in the regular season. It's almost just unfathomable.
Even just, down to even that one inning, and I'm actually forgetting which inning this even was now, but when the last play of the inning was Hernandez and Paez colliding, and Paez made the catch, and then they went into the next inning. I believe at that point in time, the bases were loaded, and I was even thinking, like, what happens if he throws a wild pitch? What happens? Like just that the mentality that you need to have to be able to get through stuff like that is just crazy.
The fact that the Blue Jays had bases loaded when I believe one out. And I can't even.
Yes, it was that.
The pain, if you're a Toronto fan. All of it. The play at the plate, you can debate that until the cows come home if you want to, on whose foot was on the bag, whose wasn't. It was so good. It was such a good game, but I feel so bad. It's like the Dodgers deserved it. They achieved something. They completely came over the mountaintop. They had to do so much to win that series, the 18-inning game, the whole 9 yards. But you're just left with this as a Mets fan. I know the NLCS is not the same as the World Series. But because of what happened to the Mets last year, you're just left with such a heartbroken feeling for the Blue Jays. And that's not to say the Blue Jays won't be back. They have Vlad. Obviously, they have some other guys on that team that they're going to have to figure out what to do with contract-wise, Bo Bichette and the like. But, oh my God, the Blue Jays, the heartbreak.
Well, forget about the 18-inning game where you essentially had an entire extra baseball game to win a game.
Right.
And didn't do it then. But beyond that, I mean, that Game 7, I really sincerely feel like they could have and perhaps should have won, like, legitimately 3 times over.
I mean, I agree.
Going back to, like the 8th and 9th inning home runs that the Dodgers are hitting. Like, that game shouldn't have realistically even went to extras. I would love to see the ESPN graphic for who they thought was going to win that game, because it's a crazy, crazy graphic. Like, it really shouldn't have went into extra innings if you really look at it.
No.
And it earnestly could have not. It was like very, very rare, a lot of the stuff that happened back to back to back to back.
Scherzer went out there and gave them a good start.
Yep.
I mean, he wasn't dominant, but if you throw Max Scherzer on the mound, he gave you what Max Scherzer at 41 years old at this point can.
He did a great job.
I mean, yeah, heartbreak for the Blue Jays. And
Miguel Rojas. I just wanted to say that too. I was thinking about it and now I remember his name. Miguel Rojas, like I don't think he had hit a home run since like September.
Yeah.
And he hit it in the 9th inning.
Will Smith.
Improbable.
Will Smith for the Dodgers, really one of the underrated characters of this entire series. Obviously, he is not the flashy name. He is not the big name in that lineup. There's probably 5 Dodgers that you'd recite off the top of your head before him. But his home run in that game, his home run in some other clutch spots in this postseason, in this World Series. Will Smith, really underrated big-time guy for the Dodgers.
And the point is, I think, you realize something that's important that we had ultimately been saying all along was that, and don't come at me, I know what I said. And I know that I was wrong, and I changed my prediction. But I think if you've been watching this podcast for a while, you know that we both felt like the Dodgers had the most talented roster top to bottom. In a game like Game 7, you see why that ultimately really matters. Because to your point, it's funny because everyone talks about, the money and their roster. And obviously, Yamamoto and Ohtani. Like, sure. I'm not saying that like those guys obviously didn't have an impact on this game, because they did. But then you have these other people who like are not the stars, but other athletes on this Dodgers lineup, or people who are playing, in the outfield or defensive replacements, who all played a role here.
Yeah.
And you realize how every single person actually is important in a game like this, even if you're not a star. And that's where I think the Dodgers having such a well-balanced roster, having great talented players top to bottom, I think that helped them ultimately win a World Series this time around.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can go in circles about the money if you want to, but the bottom line is the Dodgers consistently make the moves in every area of the team, starting pitching, bullpen, moving even a guy like Sasaki to the bullpen, position players throughout the years, accruing Betts and Freeman and obviously Ohtani. They make these moves that have combined to create somewhat of a dynasty in a way, right? Dave Roberts already out there in the parade saying we're going to go for Game 3. Something that I thought is really interesting, which is so random, the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown posted that the artifacts that they're collecting from the World Series that they're going to put into the Hall of Fame. Freddie Freeman's Game 3 bat, 18-inning game, the home run. Will Klein's Game 3 glove, the base from the 18-inning game. Dave Roberts' road jersey, Mookie Betts' final out glove, Will Smith's Game 7 spikes, Yamamoto's Game 7 hat, and Andrew Friedman's championship celebration shirt. Those are like the random little baseball tidbits that I enjoy. I don't know if you do.
No, I think that's very interesting. And also, listen, that was just a joyful moment watching that parade play out, hearing what Ohtani said. I believe Ohtani was the one who said, he was like, I'm ready for another ring. He was already talking about that.
Speaking in English.
Speaking in
to the
English.
crowd.
Pretty awesome stuff. You also had Clayton Kershaw.
Oh my God.
Out there, he's like, I'm going to try not to cry, but it's probably not going to work. I love you guys. Like, I'm like, this is awesome. You can't, all I'm going to, listen, like, obviously we're both Mets fans. If you are not a Dodgers fan, don't hate him because you ain't him. I don't know what to tell you. Moving Sasaki to the bullpen had nothing to do with money. Doing some of the things that they decided to do, putting Yamamoto in Game 6 and Game 7, that had nothing to do with money. That's Roberts going with his gut. That's making a game time decision. That's playing a damn chess game and winning.
I agree. I think Clayton Kershaw, there's so many storylines here, right?
Yep.
Like, I feel like we just keep cherry picking. Clayton Kershaw, you know, knowing that he was going to retire at the beginning of this season, going out, it's like the farewell tour. They win it last year. A Dodger his entire career. I believe it was like 18 seasons. For him to go out and win it and be such a critical part of it, like he was, coming in a big spot in relief and shutting it down, I think to see Clayton Kershaw and his family get that moment was really, really special.
And I was happy because, quite honestly, there was one point at which in Game 7, they had like him as like one person who was like warming up in the bullpen, and I was like, don't do all that.
Don't ruin the legacy like that.
He didn't. I'm not gonna say he played like a major role in all parts of this series, but he had, you know what I mean? It was good enough. He came in, he had a few he did it.
Yeah.
And I know that people feel like he has not always had like the best postseason success. He does not need to go in there in a Game 7 game.
No.
Leave him where, you know what I mean?
Which I'm sure, on the flip side, to be fair, I'm sure if he came in and closed it out and did what everybody would have been like, oh my God, we're so happy it's Clayton Kershaw. But say it didn't go that way, I'm not sure you can run that risk legacy-wise.
You know what I mean?
Also, he
and
just
then
wasn't the best
retiring.
option. Forget about the legacy, right? Like,
and then you retire right after that? No thanks.
No.
I mean, you want to talk storybook. I can't think of a better time for that guy to go out. Like,
No.
what a great time to end. How many people get the chance to really do that?
well, and I think it's cool from this shows our age, like how young we are, honestly. But you're seeing at least guys that for our generation, like when I was a kid, these were the big time pitchers winning the Cy Young, right? Clayton Kershaw and Max Scherzer. And so to see those guys competing still in a World Series at 40, 41 was great. And I think that's what made this World Series so special too, is right? You have the young stars, you have the Ohtanis, the Vlads, the Freddie Freemans, who's getting older too. But then you do have some of these guys who've really been special to baseball for a long time, continuing to kind of cement their legacy. Freddie Freeman. I'm ready to have a Freddie Freeman discussion.
Okay.
And it's a little bit abstract. I don't think you know what I'm going to throw at you right now.
I sure don't.
So Freddie Freeman, another special moment, by the way. He wins the World Series in Toronto. His late mother was from Toronto.
Wow.
Very special for him.
Yeah, that's cool.
But where I'm going with this is, it's been on my mind a lot recently.
Okay.
As someone who is a Mets fan, for
Here we go.
instance, follows the NL East. Well, as you all know, Freddie Freeman was an Atlanta Brave for a long time, a decade-ish, I believe. Freddie Freeman is on a Hall of Fame track. I wouldn't say he's a surefire, bona fide Hall of Famer yet, but he's pretty much going to be if he spends a few more years in the league. Is Freddie Freeman at this point going into Cooperstown with a Braves hat on or a Dodgers hat on? He spent a long time with the Braves. He was a Brave through thick and thin until the Dodgers swooped in a couple years ago. Interested to hear your thoughts, and then I have mine.
That's actually a really interesting question. I mean,
12 years with the Braves.
right. That's a decent chunk of change right there.
A World Series with the Braves that he won.
Also that. I mean, I don't know. I guess a part of me, my tentative answer would be, let's see what happens in between now and the time that he's done.
Next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I think that it matters what he's able to accomplish there. But like, I don't know. Let's just say that next year the Dodgers really pull off the three-peat. I can't envision a world where he's not wearing a Dodgers hat then. I think for me, if I was a decision maker in that conversation, I would say it's less about time spent, more about what happened during that time. So for that reason, I would lean towards Dodgers. But that's a great point, right? Not only the amount of time he spent with the Braves, but also World Series. I think that's something that should certainly be considered. So for now, I would tentatively say Dodgers, but let's see what happens. I'm mostly saying that with the idea that the Dodgers are going to keep up their continued level of success?
I think it's just a really interesting discussion. I bring it up because I want to hear everybody's thoughts in the comments. Dodger fans, try to take your bias out of it. Give me a real baseball answer. I just think it's interesting, right? Because, I mean, his Hall of Fame case, like over 2,000 hits at this point, 367 home runs. He's well on his way. He has an MVP. He has a World Series MVP. And obviously the postseason is a big part of that. Like it or not, I think you think about some of these stars and these players in a different realm if they've had postseason success, especially at multiple stops, right? I hate to say this, it rips my Mets fan heart out of my chest, but would David Wright have had a bigger legacy if he won a World Series? Absolutely, he would have. So anyways, that all sort of inflates it. And then you think about what he's been able to do in the postseason too, right? Obviously this year, the 18-inning game and the home run was a huge, huge deal that he won that game. But a down postseason, I would say, for him otherwise. I think he was hitting like 200 or something. But last year, that wasn't the case. The walk-off grand slam, he was World Series MVP. He's heading into his age 36 season. So yeah, I would say about 3 to 5 more years. More than 1,700 of his hits were with the Braves compared to 727 with the Dodgers, 271 home runs in Atlanta, 96 so far in LA. But again, the postseason, I think legacy, even though he did win one in Atlanta, is a lot greater with the Dodgers because that 2024 performance was like one of the single greatest World Series performances of all time. So I think it's interesting. I also was reading some stuff into this, and the player doesn't make the individual decision alone. They essentially like give the Hall of Fame sort of a choice, and then the Hall of Fame actually decides if they think it's the right choice or not. Some guys go in with a blank cap if they've really been split between two organizations throughout their time and had their legacy in two places, so maybe that's the route he goes. I just think that we're getting to the point with Freddie Freeman, even though it's only been a few short years in LA, what's happened in those few short years has been so notable, not only to his legacy, but to the Dodgers' legacy, that it's becoming a discussion.
I wonder how he'd feel.
I would love to know how he'd feel.
Yeah.
Freddie, you want to come on the podcast?
He seems busy.
Yeah, probably.
Any other thoughts that you have on this Dodgers team, what they've been able to accomplish, or even thoughts on next year and how that could shake out?
Next year makes me upset to think about as a Mets fan. I hate to say it. You know, guys, it was a good run, but I got to go back to the Mets. It's the Steve Cohen tweet. Anyway, back to the Mets.
Back to the Mets.
I think that the Dodgers are remarkable. I think that what they've been able to put together and accomplish is remarkable with that team. You look at that team, nobody's really going anywhere.
Woof.
Everybody's, not everybody, most of them are signed through next season and long term. The best team on paper does not always win the World Series. We sat here at the beginning of this postseason and said, the Dodgers were in a wild card series, right? We said, I don't know if the Dodgers are the best team on paper anymore in the regular season, but they just know when to turn it on at the right time. And I think that any National League team, the Dodgers are the problem for the next 3 to 5 years. And as a Mets fan, that sucks to say. As a Brewers fan, that sucks to think about. You name your NL team. As a Phillies fan, I don't know if a three-peat is possible. I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do in any sport is to three-peat. We saw it with the Chiefs last year. But I think that the Dodgers have a really good chance of being in that conversation again. But I also think let's just enjoy it, right? I think we get too ahead of things sometimes. Like, just enjoy the fact that you won back-to-back World Series championships, which is something that hasn't happened in like 25 years.
An accomplishment in and of itself. Want to say thank you once again for all of you guys for following along. We really hope that you continue to do it in the off season. As many of you very well know, we are going to continue to really talk all baseball because that's what we've been liking to do. So please come back. Please help to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out when you do that. And otherwise, if you're a Dodgers fan, congratulations. If you're not a Dodgers fan, good luck to you next season.
And the Blue Jays never win. I had to say it one last time.
Bye.